Hi everyone, my name is Nur Shakira and I am the third presenter of this group. So today I'll be explaining to you the ways on how to implement effective recitation in the classroom. There are 6 ways to be highlighted in implementing effective recitation in the classroom. Number 1, distribute chances or equal chances for student participation. Number 2, provide time to think about answer before responding. Number 3, stimulate and maintain interest. Number 4, provide feedback without losing the pace. Number 5, monitor comprehension. And number 6, support the participation of diverse learners. So we will go through one by one. Okay? The first step in implementing effective recitation in the classroom is by distributing equal chances for student participation. So here I provide you some tips on how to distribute equal chances for student participation. We as a pre-service teacher should be aware about the student participation in our classroom. Okay? So number 1, pick name from a cup. Randomly pick name from a cup. So the concept is actually the same as lucky draw, where the teacher will pick up a name from a cup randomly, and the student that been chosen will have to answer the question. So this is one of the ways to ensure an equal distributions of chances for students to participate. Next is use pattern turn taking. So for example, we have the music box. When the teacher play the music, the student will start to pass around the box. So once the teacher stop the music, the student who are holding the box at that time will be the person to answer the question. So this actually provide us an equal chances for student to participate, and at the same time it entertain the classroom. Okay. Next is check of name on sitting chart. So here it needs teacher observation and also to have a sitting chart. So teacher will have to observe which student already raise up the hand, which student already answer the question, and try to erase their name or try to mark their name. So at the next class, teacher will try to call the person who are not yet answering the question or raise up hand. Okay, so this will ensure an equal distribution of chances for all the students to answer the question and participate in the classroom. If you have any idea, you may share your idea on how to distribute chances to participate in the classroom on the comment section. Okay, next way is by providing time to think for students. When a teacher recites a question, try to provide some time for students to think before they respond. Okay, this can be done by extending wait time to 3 seconds. For example, when teacher recite a question, we try to wait for 5 seconds before we ask for student responses. So during that time, the students are able to think about the answer. And then next is tell students that you do not expect an immediate answer. For example, giving a due date for a task or question for students to complete. This is like homework, where you give students time to complete the homework for the topic that been taught, so you can test their understanding, and then at the same time you provide them some time to think about the answer, whether they understand about the topic or not. Okay, and then next is allow students to write a response. So this actually allows the students who are not confident enough to talk in front of the class because they might be scared that their answer is wrong. So by written responses will help to maintain student engagement in the classroom. So for when the student write written responses, the teacher can go through or look over the response and try to give feedback to the student. So that is how we actually try to maintain the student engagement in the classroom, and one of the ways in implementing effective recitation. Okay, next point is stimulate and maintain interest. Okay, so here I provide you some tips on how to stimulate and maintain student interest in the classroom. Number 1 is inject mystery and suspense content. So as we try to recite the question, why not we try to inject some mystery and suspense content in our question? This is because students at this age, they love to explore. So we can gain their interest by injecting some mystery and suspenses in our question. And then number 2 is inject humor and novelty. As we know, humor is making fun or making jokes, right? And novelty is in bahasa Melayu kebaharuan. We can gain interest of student by making funny joke as it entertains the student. Who doesn't love joke? I love joke as well. But make sure you're really good at joking, okay? And then novelty is be up to date to the new trend used in teaching. Nowadays the trend is TikTok, right? So make sure you make use of this trend to gain interest of student, right? Be creative, be a creative teacher. And then next is challenge students to think. So this involves critical thinking. As we implement critical thinking nowadays in 21st century education, and then it's involve hard question, high order thinking skill. So the teacher need to prepare hard question in order to challenge the student to think out of box. Okay, next one is incorporate physical activity, or we can say incorporate games in the classroom. So we can incorporate some games in our classroom or in our class, as it actually really attract student interest, right? We can help to engage all the students by involving a game, and we actually try to put some standard where the student think that they are waiting for the next class because there are some games in the next class. So this is how we can actually stimulate and maintain interest of the student. Okay. Next is by providing feedback to students. So when the teacher recite a question, the student will give an answer or responses, right? So from that answer or responses, teacher can give feedback to the student. So when the student answer correctly and with confidence, the teacher can affirm briefly about the responses and also try to give them some compliment because of their braveness and how they maintain the focus in the class. Okay. Next is the student are able to give a correct answer but with hesitate. So the student are hesitate to give the answer, but the answer is actually correct. So the teacher can provide more deliberate affirmation about the responses from student. Okay, and don't forget to compliment them as well. Next is incorrect but careless. So the teacher can make a simple correction and try to tell the student that she or he is actually making a careless mistake, so that they will remember and do not repeat it. Next is incorrect but able to answer with hint or help. So the student at first give the incorrect answer, and the teacher will try to give a hint or help for a student to give a correct answer. For example, by prompt or back to a simple question, and then try to relate it with the question that you ask. Okay. The last one is if the student are not unable to give response, so we as a teacher should not belabor on the issue. We try to compliment them and by expecting them to answer on the next question, okay, on the next class. Don't underestimate them. Maybe you can tell them that, oh, you can try it next time, okay, it's okay if you don't know the answer. Alright, so that is one of the compliment if the student are unable to answer or unable to give response for your question. Okay, next is monitor comprehension. Comprehension mean kefahaman, okay, kefahaman student or kefahaman pelajar. So how to monitor a comprehension is number 1, by require overt responses. So overt responses is a responses that can be heard or seen by others, mean public responses. Okay, so the teacher can actually provide response card and then physically display answer with manipulative materials, for example questionnaire, and then a thumbs up or down reaction for teacher performance and also topic that being teach. Okay, and then the next one is use a steering group. Okay, steering group is being used as a teacher goal. Teacher can set up a goal on the steering group by observing the performance of a sample group of students. So the sample group of students must require low achiever and also high achiever. Okay, so the teacher will compare and observe the performance of both group, low achiever and also high achiever, and then from there the teacher can be able to know when to move on, plan when to move on to the next topic by having an observation from the performance of the sample group. Okay, last way is giving support to the participations of diverse learner. So as we know, in a classroom we will have different type of learners, right? So we as a teacher should be aware about the diverse learners in the classroom. So number one is by pattern of asking question. So the teacher must track whom the student that being called, how often you call the student, and how often the student involved in in the classroom in participate of answering question or game in the classroom, and then how we respond to their answer. Okay, this is the most important thing. When the students are able to answer the question, try to give compliment or try to give award for them. So this will help, actually would really help we as a teacher to keep gaining the student participation in the classroom or in answering question or playing game. Okay, and then characteristic of diverse learner. So the teachers must know the characteristic of diverse learner in the classroom and become familiar with the discourse patterns characteristic of diverse learner. Okay, and then consider some accommodation for diverse learner. For example, consider whether some accommodation to students' discourse style is possible. Let's say a visual learner. Okay, so we cannot just focusing on text, right? We can provide them some some pictures by having PowerPoint slide, right? For example, PowerPoint slide where the teacher are able to to give some pictures, interesting pictures, and try to gain the visual learners attention as well. All right, okay, let's continue to the next point, which is teach explicitly. Okay, the teacher can teach explicitly about the discourse pattern that are expected in the school. Okay, so that is one of the way. And then next is alternative response format. So the teacher can incorporate alternative response format designed to engage all the students. So alternative response format, for example, we have true or false format. Okay, we provide the question for a student, and only two choices is true or false. So this is one of the alternative response format. And then the traditional format, for example, raise up your hand if you want to answer, shout your name, or that is one of the way in incorporate alternative response format. Okay, so we have come to the end of my video, and if you have any question, do ask me in the WhatsApp group or in the comment section below. And let's continue to the next presenter.